Greetings everyone, welcome back to Blade Bias. In my quest to come up with plenty of living content, oh no, the screw on my Vulp is coming out, online, that don't require me to answer the 5,000 DMs of the same question that I get every single day, I have created a new tool for all of you, and it is probably something that I should have created a long time ago. This is my official recommendation document. Now, it doesn't look very fancy. It's just a Google Doc that you can find a link to in the description of this and all future Blade Bias uploads. I'm finally getting around to changing the default description and all that stuff, so look for the changes down below. But you will find a link to this document, and this document goes over all of my recommendations at various price points and preference points, because I always harp on about how I simply just can't answer a lot of this versus that questions. Why would I tell you to get a Prisma over a Vulp if I don't know how much you want to spend, what balance profile you prefer, what colors you like, what quality you're looking for? Like, you know what I mean? Why would I tell you to get a Kraken trainer over a Prisma if you don't like handle bias? But since you don't mention that in the message, I can't do that. It ends up being this really obnoxious message that I get from someone saying, "What do you think of X Balisong?" And I just have to say it's good, because like that's all I really can say. I don't know what you like. I don't know what you want. So I made this, which will hopefully answer any questions that anyone has for me specifically, whenever, and I don't have to know about it. You can just look at the document, and there we go. I've done all the disclaimers and everything in here. I'm just going to point them out here. I don't know why I have to harp on this, but there's still people out there that accuse me of this. I'm not financially affiliated with anyone that I recommend. I have no sponsors. I have no affiliate links. I have nothing. Everything that I am recommending is entirely based on my own opinion and experience, and my own biases. I mean, I'm not unbiased, as much as I kind of harp on that I try not to be biased. Unfortunately, every human on this earth is biased. The only people who are unbiased are machines, and even they aren't unbiased because, you know, they learn from humans. I'm specifically talking about AI there. So, you know, no one's really truly unbiased. So, you know, this is my list. I don't care what you think about it, to be quite frank with you. I don't care if you disagree with it. I don't care about any of that. I don't need people in the comments saying, actually, this is a better deal at this price point. I don't care. It's my list, okay? It's what I recommend. Here you go. So I figured in today's video, I would just take you guys through it and kind of justify not my recommendations particularly, but you might notice that there's this thing right down here, Ethan's pick, where in every single price point I pick one Balisong from the list, or maybe not from the list, that I would choose in that scenario. If I had $50 to spend, I would choose this. If I had $100 to spend, I would choose this, etc. And I'll just kind of take you guys through the document as a whole. Now first, for anyone who doesn't own a Balisong, I recommend the Vulp. I mean, this is a pretty obvious one. Anytime anyone in the comments of this channel asks me that, oh, hey, I want to buy my first Balisong, what do you recommend? I just reply with one word, Vulp. And I have seen people try and say that it's because I'm friends with Will and Brandon, and that's the only reason that I ever recommend the Vulp, which, like, again, every human on this planet is biased. I'm not going to say that there is no single part of me that isn't taking that into consideration, but 99% of the reason that I recommend the Vulp is because of its unboxing experience. It is not just a Balisong, it's a starter pack. You get the bit, you get the extra bushings, the washers, all of that. It's a starter pack. And the only other thing that comes remotely close to it as a starter pack for the price is the marbles. And the reason I don't recommend the marbles to new flippers is because that weight system is far too complicated and could overwhelm a flipper. As much as it would be nice to say, oh, hey, the new flipper could find out what balance points they want, new flippers don't care about balance points. I can tell you that because I said the Squiddy Bee and the Arctic were the same when I first started flipping. It's not a case of they need to figure out what they want. It's they need to figure out how to flip in the first place. And the Vulp is just going to provide a way for them to do that. It's the most no nonsense starter pack that I can recommend. Is the flipping perfect? By God, no. There's a reason the Vulp doesn't really show up in my recommendation list, and that is because I'm not a huge fan of it at this point. Like, it's a fantastic starter pack. It is a great flipper for the price, and it will do you really well if it's your first Balisong. But to a more experienced Balisong flipper, I don't think I'd ever recommend the Vulp because, quite frankly with you, the balance is a little bit wonky, and chaplains are, quite frankly, miserable on it. I can't really sugarcoat that. I hate chaplaining the Vulp with a burning passion. But again, it comes back to beginners don't need like a crazy perfect chaplain experience. They need the lube and the Loctite and the extra hardware and the T10 bit and all of that that's going to help them get into the hobby further. And that's what the Vulp provides. So that's why I recommend the Vulp. Yeah, I mean, you can draw your own conclusions, I guess. If you want to think that I'm shilling this because I'm friends with Will and Brandon, then fucking go ahead, man. I don't care. Next up is plastic, and plastic is, I mean, I made a buyer's guide already, so plastic is like, I'm just putting it on here for the sake of completeness. My favorite plastic Balisong, still the Flip Forge Edit Lite, could be the Zippy Cycloid HD. It's just that the Zippy Cycloid HD is just a tiny bit too expensive for me, for my taste, when I'm recommending a plastic Balisong. I have a really hard time recommending someone buy a plastic Balisong that is the same price as some metal Balisongs that I really enjoy, like the Arctic, which is to say nothing against the Cycloid as a whole. It's like, yeah, like it's a great Balisong and I would love to own one day. But, well, the Cycloid HD specifically. But the Edit Lite just ticks all the right boxes for me, including price. So there's that. $100 or less. The only one that I don't like here is neutral Vulp with zippy inserts, and that's quite simply because I couldn't really think of any other crazy neutral Balisong that I have extensive experience with that's under $100. Like the Orion Comb Blade jumps to mind, but that's well over $100 once you get the Comb Blade. So I just put the Vulp with the zippy inserts there. I've tried it. It's good. The best part about this document is that it's living. I can change it literally whenever I want. So, you know, if I figure out and remember some other, or try some better option there, I can just replace it. Bing, bang, boom. You've got things like the Calico there for the same reason. I can't really think of a handle bias thing that isn't the Orion, because I don't want the Orion to just sweep this whole thing. And then the marbles, as I said, my de facto recommendation to anyone looking to expand their collection, not start it. And then the Orion sweeps the rest of it, because the Orion is just one of the best deals that we have in the community. I genuinely believe that. Moving up to $200 or less, this is where things get a lot more specific for me. The Squid Trainer, the Firefly V2, the Glider Antarctic, and then the Prisma Pro pretty much sweeps the rest. I have the LDY Orion for Live Blade because, I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of any of the Live Blades in this price category. The Serpent Striker V3 is the biggest one to come to mind, and that thing's availability combined with its just very meh performance to me made it so that the Orion was an easy recommendation over that. And then obviously the Prisma Pro sweeps everything else. I think it's the best beater, best value, and my personal pick, $200 or less. I love the Prisma Pro. It is one of the most competent flippers that you can buy in the price point, in my humble opinion. The Prisma V1 might sneak its way onto the list eventually, but I'm taking a little bit more time to kind of A/B them back and forth. Maybe this will win for value, because I do prefer the balance on the Prisma V1, to be perfectly honest with you, but I much prefer the overall ergonomics of the Prisma Pro. So, you know, it's a thing, but it just, yeah. The only other thing that I think could be changed is maybe if the Vortex from NRB ever gets to a point where it's consistently available, that could replace the Prisma Pro as my solution for a beater, because it's $70-$75, and the only reason I'm not saying the Orion for the beater is because it's not channel. I would rather have channel 7075 for more money than sandwich 7075 for less money. If for like a specific beater. So that's that. 300 or less. Neutral-ish. I put the Kraken just because the Tonto blade, it's neutral-ish. I mean, I recognize the Kraken still has a bit of a handle bias to it, but hence the ish. Handle bias, the Kraken Trainer V3, adjustable balance, glider Antarctic titanium. The Nemesis I just put in here because I wanted to recommend the Nemesis. It is a genuinely good value. You get titanium for less than $300. Which I can't really think of too many other places that you can get that besides Atropos. But again, this could come down to something else comes along that's just more available, and then it kind of kicks the Nemesis out of there, you know. The Nemesis has going for it that it's cheap in titanium, but it doesn't have the availability. So if that ever changes, goodbye Nemesis. And then value, I still pick the Prisma Pro, man. The Prisma Pro almost was my pick for 300 or less, but it felt kind of cheap to have my pick be the same for two different things. And my recent time flipping my Kraken Trainer again has been genuinely fairly enjoyable. So I decided to put that as my pick. Although the Prisma Pro is already there. I still do think this is one of the best values that you can get sub $300, honestly. At least right now. And then $500 or less. This is an area that I don't have too much experience with, so the Slift T and the Impusa kind of clean house here. But I decided to put the Cygnus in neutral-ish. Again, it has a handle bias. It's not a crazy handle bias, I don't think. And I genuinely enjoy it. And then also the Bandage Knives Stitch, which I have over here, hits for adjustable balance. Just because I like it so much, man. Like, it has a fully adjustable balance with the zippy weight system. It's pretty phenomenal. If the Bandage has said that he hopes the availability for them will be okay in the coming months. So if that happens, that'll stay there. If it doesn't, I'll probably switch it out for the Slift T or something, because that technically has an adjustable balance. But then everything else just cleans house for the Slift T. The Slift T is another great value for sub $500. You get about $400 for a titanium, amazingly built live blade that just can take an absolute beating and flips as good as it looks. So Slift T is an easy recommendation for me. Although I will say that the beater section could also go to a Fellowship Blades product. I just decided on the Slift T because of my personal unit of the Impusa not having good tolerances because I stripped a screw. Is that fair to the Impusa? No, but also these things have beautiful anodizations, and I think to only label them as a beater kind of does a disservice to one of the most vibrant anodizations in the community. I don't think you should baby your Impusa like I do, but I think the Slift T just kind of hits a little harder as a beater. But again, things could change. So that's it. This is always going to be in the description. Anything that changes on it, I'm just going to change it. Like, it's just going to change. It'll be a living document. You can click on it to see the most up-to-date things. I think it's going to be pretty great. And if you ever DM me on Instagram, I always am willing to talk to people. But if you have a question such as, what is better, this or this, I'm just going to respond to a link to this document. That's all I'm going to do, because I have explained in numerous videos before why it's an impossible question and why I don't like answering it. So anyone who ever asks me for purchase recommendation or which one's better or what do you like more, you're just getting a link to this, and that's it. It's just, I have to find a middle ground between responding to people and talking to people, which I do love, and answering the flood of people who just ask me the same things over and over. So yeah, thank you all for watching. That's going to do it for this video. And I will see you in the next video for the week impression of the Stitch, which I think is going to happen a little early because I only do have a week with that thing. So I'm going to have to record that a little early, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, thank you all for watching. See you in the next one. Later.